McCormack, and this podcast is about male body image. Now, sitting in front of me are two very different men. Charlie, you are 6'7" and built very wide, I would say, with plenty of muscle. And Hugo, you are about 5'7" and quite narrow framed, I would say. So tell me about what it is like to be a very big guy.
More difficult than people would imagine, I would say.
Okay, why would you say? Because in our traditional mindset, a lot of people think, oh, a big guy, they need to be tall, they need to be muscly, they need to be this, that and the other. And that's what people, males, are often striving for. So tell me what it is like in reality.
Aside from being quite sapping on your general quality of life to maintain, as regards constant focus on diet, ridiculous amount of food you've got to get through every day, you've always got to train, so social occasions can sometimes become difficult to go to. So it puts pressure on your life just from yourself. But on top of that, the way people interact with you and the way people perceive you is just completely different to how a normal person, I suppose, would be perceived anywhere.
So you don't see yourself as a normal person then?
I'm not made to feel like a normal person, I wouldn't say.
So
I would like to feel like a normal person because this is just superficial, and I'd like people to actually appreciate my personality more than just my appearance. But
so Hugo, as a smaller guy, how do you feel the world greets you?
They greet me more with my personality, and I completely understand what you're saying with that, because I feel like people just view you and they're like, yeah, it's just muscles, he probably doesn't have anything else. And for me, because I'm a smaller person, I guess I'm a bit more eccentric, so I guess people notice me more, if that makes sense.
So do you feel as a smaller person, because I'm one of them,
you do,
that you developed your personality?
Yeah, so then you can stand out.
Does that mean smaller people are more attention seekers?
To an extent, yes. Not all of them, because some of them are introverts. Like, that's with everyone. But majority of people who are smaller do have a more charismatic personality, because obviously they're making up for the height or making up for other things.
And did you have people like I had when I was growing up, people go, do you know what, you're really small?
Oh, yeah.
And you go, yeah, I
all
know.
my life.
I've grown up. I know, I live with this every day.
Yeah.
So why are you stating the obvious? I
Yeah,
didn't find it insulting. I just found it surprising that they'd even bother to say it.
Literally. I think I found it insulting when I was younger, because I was like, oh, when am I going to grow? And then I think it came to a point where I was just like, do you know what? I don't actually mind being this height, because clothes are cheaper. A lot more things are a bit cheaper. You can still get student tickets. It's amazing. So yeah, I can get away with a lot.
So do you think females have a different response to you because you're a smaller guy than they would with Charlie?
Yes, but not always.
Right.
Yeah, because everyone has a type in it. So yes, but not always.
And did you, when you were, 15, 16 and 17, when you started to really want to date, did you feel a bit like, oh, they're never going to like me because I'm the smaller guy?
Yeah, so I kind of
You over what?
Reacted, I said, I think.
Yeah. You overcompensated maybe with your personality?
Yeah.
And so you developed that?
Yeah.
Because I suspect that people like you, Charlie, who the world just goes, oh, wow, he's a big guy. In a way, you don't have to develop that personality because you're noticed anyway. And you're noticed for so-called positive reasons, but maybe you would say different. Tell me what you
I hate it personally.
Really?
I honestly, when you first start, I suppose, getting a bit larger than the average person, you'll have the first few people come up because like, whoa, your arms are really big, and it's such like an ego boost. It's really a confidence boost. Skip forward like 3-4 years of having that, and every single time you go out, it's about 10 people, 10 guys just like, whoa, bro, look at you. Or girls just coming up and just like, I suppose because they think you're large, that you're not vulnerable, so it's okay if they like grope you and whatever, and they'll just squeeze your arms and all this, and you just become just like a complete object, and your personality is completely irrelevant. You are just the big guy, and it sucks because I appreciate that I've made myself that way. Nobody else forced me to gain the weight and look the way I do, but it would just be nice if people, to just have someone come up to me and just say, ask me like who I was and what my interests were and what I actually did with my life, as opposed to just, whoa, you're large, because that's what the vast majority of people actually come up and say to me.
Yeah.
So at what point did you describe, or at what point did you develop this kind of muscly frame? Now, I know you were a sportsman, so talk me through that.
I was always an athlete. So I was a national swimmer when I was about 14, 15. And then I got into water polo and eventually got into the under-19 Great Britain squad and was playing really competitive level, won the national championships with my hometown club. And that was sort of my real focus for a time. It was around about year 11. I think I was about 15 years old, and my friends started getting into bodybuilding. And I remember, this is my defining memory. He came into a lesson one day, and it was his forearm, and he just said, "Hey, mate, look." And he just showed me his forearm, and there was just a vein popping out that I'd never seen before in person. And it was just really big, and I was just, whoa, what is that? I was really like, it was just impressive to me, because it was just something I wasn't used to. And I was like, yeah, I could get on board with that. And I remember the first time I ever went to the gym, it was at some rubbish leisure centre back at home. And I went in and I was stuck on 60 kilograms on the bench. And I'm like, yeah, this is going down. And I guess I bring the bar down and it just crushes me straight away. And I'm just like desperately trying to get the bar to roll off me because I've not got a clue what I'm doing. But from that day forward, I felt really useless when I first went in, but I just fell in love with like the process of self-improvement. And in the way that like every single week you're seeing progression, and I feel like the two ways that humans can like enhance themselves are physical and mental, and so I want to have as much knowledge as possible, and then physically I want to be in the best shape as possible. So that was just always my motivation. It was always about myself, not what for other people.
So you've become, as a result of, really focusing on your physical image, you've become like a minor celebrity in your own world, because people are focusing on that. As you say, I've read enough sort of celebrity biogs to know that the perception of people changes towards people. You, Charlie, are still exactly the same person you were that 15-year-old boy. You've just grown older, but because you've got the accoutrements of these big muscles and this kind of deep voice and height, you basically are being perceived differently by others. So you're actually looking for people to say, who are you? Underneath all of that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So in a way, what you're saying is people are greeting you in a very superficial way.
100%, yeah.
But do you think you feel that by doing this?
Absolutely. I have no doubt about that. It's just, I just wish it wasn't that way.
So how can you redress that?
The way I live my life, I'm not obsessed with training and the gym. I like, if people follow my Instagram, then they might think otherwise. But that's just because I'm more into like the fitness modelling and that kind of thing, and the men's physique, like competitive level. That's just a personal interest of mine, but that doesn't mean that's my life. Like, the vast majority of my day is nothing to do with weight training or nutrition or anything like that. It's to do with my actual interests.
Okay, so on an average day, at what point, if you couldn't get to the gym to train, or you ate that chocolate eclair, which I don't, but if you did, would you have guilt about that? And
no,
would you go, I can't get to the gym?
There's a lot of people
Yeah.
who really are obsessed.
Yeah.
And there's body dysmorphia, and I would 100% have body dysmorphia, because every single time I walk past the reflection, I'm just staring in it and just thinking, do I look smaller today and whatever. And that's just something that I've just got to get on with. But there are people who are they allow it to just completely take over their lives. I'm not one of those people. I will eat a meal that I want to eat. I will go and have a few drinks with my friends. I will go on nights out and not worry about like having fast food at the end of it.
But will you make that up in the gym? the next day or the next week, will you be going, oh, I had a hard night?
I do sometimes feel like, I've been a bit rubbish this week, and I'm not taking my nutrition seriously at all, and I'm getting pudgy and all this. And I suppose I'll go on a really strict diet for a week or whatever, just to try and get back on track. But
so in a way, I mean, we normal people, size people, if we go on holidays and we binge out and we go, oh right, I've definitely put on a few pounds, this week I won't do that. I won't be drinking every night, and I won't be eating all those meals. But in a way, your version is a bit more extreme than that, because you obviously, your body is, if you're on Instagram and you're selling it almost as a commodity in a way, you have to watch it in a more extreme way than the average person.
On the subject of holidays, they've always been an issue for me, because when I haven't got access to a gym for more than about 3 or 4 days, then I start getting a bit I'm losing all my gains and all that, and I get a bit grouchy like that, which is really pathetic. I know.
You can lose it in a week though.
I know. Yeah, it's really pathetic, but it's just psychologically, you're just looking in the mirror, just whoa, I'm not looking the same.
Wow. So from your point of view, Hugo, do you think people perceive you more as a weak male because you're physically not as a big muscly guy?
I guess so. But I don't see myself as a weak male, because I don't know. Physically, there's a difference between physically and mentally. Physically, I'm weak in some aspects, and mentally, I'm also weak in some aspects. And I think that's just with everyone, not just short males, also tall males and built males, and literally every size person has a weakness and a strength. For me, I would definitely say, obviously, I find it hard if I want to get something from a top of my cupboard. I have to climb stuff, so so that's a bit of a ball ache. But I don't mind doing that because it's quite fun. I'm quite agile as well, so it's I feel like a kid. But not always. Some people still have that mindset of looking at someone who's small and then straight away thinking they're weak. Or if someone's taller, they're like, that person's a bit, stronger than that little guy.
So do you think if you were in a club that the women's eyes will generally go to the bigger guys automatically rather than the smaller guys? Or have you noticed? And if you haven't, that'd be great. At a club, it's mainly guys doing all the movement as in approaching.
Yeah, approaching.
Yeah, but come on, you kind of pick up the eyes from the women who might be looking.
Yeah, I think that, a lot more women do look at the guy who's a bit more built and who's very sharp and neat.
Yeah.
More than anything.
But as a smaller male, do you feel, oh my goodness, wouldn't it be nice for a change that they just...
No, not really, because
it doesn't bother you.
Yeah, because I can dance, so I'm fine. So
and I can't.
So I'm good.
You don't need to, Charlie. You just have to stand there and flex your muscles, and you're fine.
I can dance, so I'm I don't really mind that. I'm not saying, I know women are looking at me, but for someone who can move, you can notice that. So it literally just depends on the person, on the female. Well,
partly why I wanted to interview you is because I thought you are in my eyes, a very confident male and great personality, and you really do give off that comfortable vibe, which is brilliant. Charlie, I don't know you that well, but I do know that as soon as you walk in the room, everybody's eyes go looking at you. So you do have that effect on people. So how does that make you feel in a club, for instance, when you are the biggest guy in the club? And do you like it? Do you feel like, oh, this is fantastic? Or do you actually feel self-conscious?
I used to. I suppose when I was a bit less mature, when I'm 18, 19, I used to really enjoy it and be in the centre of attention. But now, no, not at all. Especially because I'm a doorman. It's just the amount of... Because for some reason people think that it's okay, just if you're working, or just because you're a big guy, that they can say or do certain things to you, just because I don't know why that is. For example, last week, right at the end of my shift, I'd worked 5 till 2:30 in the morning. I was knackered. I just wanted to go home. And there was this hen party. He's like, "Oh, take your shirt off. Go on, take your shirt off." And I was just like,
That's
"Guys,
harassment, you know. Yeah,
please!"
that's
Like,
harassment.
I genuinely get it all the time, and that's not to
Yeah.
say like that's not big. That's just for some reason people think it's fine.
So do
And
you
I was just
feel-
like, no. And in the end, they were like, just grabbing me, and I was like, no. And they full on just ripped my shirt in two. It was a designer shirt as well, so like that was my wages gone for the night pretty much. And I was just, wow. And then I had to go home just with this like shredded shirt, and they were like, "Oh, we'll come back, pay for it tomorrow." They never did. And then when I was like, one of the fellow bouncers was, "Oh, why did you just do that?" And they were like, "Why is he so annoyed?" Maybe because he ripped his shirt. And they just said, "Oh, maybe you should get a better job." So, yeah, I guess people think they can be more brutal to you because of you appear to like be physically strong. Personality-wise, I would imagine that I'm far less confident than you would think for how I look, because a lot of people get like this because of initial anxiety. And I did used to have really big problems with anxiety, but they've gone down quite a lot in recent years. I've become a bit more comfortable with who I am.
So do you think men feel threatened by you? As in other men, do they come up to you and go, right, you think you're the big guy, so therefore they... Because I have heard that can happen more to a bigger guy, because smaller guys might feel threatened by the fact that you just look bigger than everybody
I feel like
else.
that might be the other way around.
Do you?
Yeah, because well, I'm only saying this because I had an incident at work. So this bigger gentleman came into work, and I was just serving him, and obviously he went off, so I started speaking to his missus, just customer services, and then he came over and then started getting angry at me, and just I don't know, I feel like he thought I was saying something to her, but it wasn't that. So I don't know, it's either because he's insecure about his
missus,
or he's insecure about himself for him to act like that towards me.
For sure.
Yeah, so it definitely depends on the person.
Yeah. But do guys square up to you?
I think
Like
some
being a
guys. I think
doorman.
some guys see it as a trophy almost to try and
a lot
like.
of guys do. Like I sometimes look on Instagram like, I would like to have that body. look at that body.
So
Yeah.
have you ever got into fights where
Oh,
someone...
numerous times, yeah.
actually,
When like obviously when I'm working, that's a different story because that's just part of the job. But just generally being on nights out, I suppose. I don't know, when you're trying to navigate through quite a clustered club like Briggshaw Zeros, it is quite easy to bump into people. And I suppose if you are a bit heavier, you bumping into someone will like cause them to move a bit more. And so I've been sucker punched a hell of a lot of times. And usually the second you turn around to like throw back, they're like, "Whoa, no problem, dude, no problem." They've just hit you like 3 or 4 times, or then all their friends have, and you turn around to like confront them, and they just, "Whoa, it's all fine, it's all." I don't know. I suppose a bit of it might be insecurity from guys. Another thing I get is you do get guys like just pulling their girlfriends away. You're literally not doing anything. I'm not like a predator, guys. I'm just here to like chill and have a laugh with my friends. But you get guys like pulling their girlfriends away, or like making comments and stuff like that.
So in a way, you have become a beacon for a certain amount of abuse from
Oh
women.
yeah,
or men.
big time.
But most people, if they just saw a picture of you, would go, "Oh God, he has the dream life. It's all fantastic." But actually, the reality of this is quite hard. Do you know other guys, big guys, who do the same kind of stuff as you, who have the same issues as you?
A lot of the guys I know who sort of my size don't have the social life. They're not really bothered about the social life as much, and they're kind of introverts, and they're just happy to just spend all their time in the gym and then go home and sort of watch TV and stuff like that. Whereas I'm like a real socialite, and I just love interacting with people. So I've got that conglomeration of 2 different things that they don't have. So I don't imagine they really have a problem, because being an introvert, you don't really have to interact with anyone anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas I do.
So if you were to advise younger guys who happen to be this big body shape and they might be going the route that you're going, what would you say would be a good thing to prevent this kind of effect?
Limit your time on social media, like massively. Particularly Instagram, because when you're scrolling through a feed of just endless like perfect physiques, of just that are just photoshopped and airbrushed, just with ridiculously perfect lighting, and then a muscle pump and just everything. It does just make you feel a bit rubbish about yourself, and that's what it can build up, this obsession that I've got to look like this. Look at all the likes he's getting, look at all the attention he's getting, and that can really create an obsession.
And do you filter your own photographs and Photoshop them?
I do obviously filters,
everybody filters a photo,
100%. And I think you're just like, which filter looks better, and all the contrast, you fill in with the contrast and everything. So yeah, there's definitely some editing goes into it.
What about you?
Oh, and yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Instagram can be hell for a lot, especially with body image and the way you look for other people. Because I know people who can be on Instagram for like a whole day, and then after they get off it and they feel shit about themselves. Sorry for my language, but it's the reality of how many people are getting likes, or how this person looks in this particular location, or how they are dressed. For me, I don't use Instagram like that anymore. It is, don't get me wrong, I do sometimes go through it. I'm like, I wish I... But then I come out of it and I'm like, to be honest, I'm happy with what I've got. So it's definitely reduce your time on social media, especially Instagram, because you need to work on yourself more than anything. Because those people on Instagram are probably just posting something that's not even real.
Yeah.
Well, that is you get more mature, you realise, actually,
of course,
we all have good things, bad things, whatever in our lives.
Simples.
But unfortunately, when you're talking, to 13, 14, 15-year-olds,
that's
they
all they
are...
have. That's literally...
And, they're sitting at home doing their study or whatever, and they're looking at all this stuff.
Yeah, social media just glamorises this small little idyllic portion of your life.
Yeah.
It doesn't go on about anything else that's going on.
Which
It's
is
just
kind
this
of why we're
little
doing these
moment.
podcasts, because I'm trying to open up subjects that people traditionally think are one way, maybe, or portrayed in the media as one way, to give it a little bit more depth, a bit more, meet the person rather than the image or the perception of.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to add before we leave it? Or
I'm not sure. No,
I wanted to ask you one last question. So because you are this minor celebrity in your world, what kind of woman would you like to be attracted to you?
Someone who values my personality and my intellect above my physicality, which just isn't really happening, to be honest.
And do you feel the same as a smaller male?
I've got a wonderful lady, so I'm fine.
Sorted, exactly, yeah.
So glad to hear it.
I'm good.
And also with me, I suppose the sort of girls I attract are a lot older than me. Invariably, like the last 3 girls I've dated have all been like 24, 25, and I'm 20. So that's always ends up being an issue. And that's just, again, because of how I look, I suppose.
Yeah, so you need to meet your match.
Again,
I'm sure after this, you will meet your match, because you're showing another side of your personality.
If people just talk to me, then they get that side
just
anyway.
And not be intimidated by you.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
No problem.
Anytime.
Brilliant.